elections were held today, who would win? What is the mood of the nation? As Modi 3.0 depends on allies, is this a weakened Modi politically and in terms of his political brand? I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. On the program today, we'll be talking in a moment from now to see voters Yashwant Deshmukh to ask the tantalizing question: has something changed since the 2024 verdict in the political mood of the country? There's a lot to talk about with imminent assembly elections, but on this broadcast, the first of our two-part series, we'll be looking at the findings of the India Today See Voter Mood of the Nation survey in terms of the national picture. The questions we'll be looking at: who would win if elections were held today? How would the BJP fare? How would the Congress fare? How would the two alliances fare, the NDA and the India bloc? And also in terms of personal popularity ratings, where does the Prime Minister stand? Where does Rahul Gandhi stand? And in terms of chief ministers, where does Yogi Adityanath stand, especially after what we saw unfold in Uttar Pradesh? So there's a lot to talk about. Let me introduce our guest, our newsmaker on the program today. I want to welcome back after a long time. We've been giving him a break, Yashwant Deshmukh. We always call him our favorite political pundit, and he's back with us after too long a gap. So, Yashwant, it's really good to have you back with us. Our viewers and all of us here have been missing you. So, welcome back.
Thank you,
Let me
Bakar.
start. Thank you, Yashwant. Let me start with the big picture. Usually, we build up to the best question, but in this case, we'll start with the question that everybody wants to know. अगर आज चुनाव हुए, if elections were held today, what would happen? And while Yashwant, as the slides come up, while there's a lot of talk in power circles, the government seems weaker. It's taken back some of its decisions, whether it's lateral entry to the UPSC, whether it's the broadcast bill, whether it's the Waqf issue going to a parliamentary panel. Before we look at these ratings, could I please have the slide on who would win if elections were held today? Yashwant, that's what everybody wants to know. That has something really changed, or is this only in terms of media perception?
Well, Barkha, the reason why we do Mood of the Nation, regardless of the election cycle they happen or not, is precisely that to keep a track of what is happening and why it is happening. So, right after the Lok Sabha elections, there were two different kind of analysis which were coming out, and both were aiming at some kind of a fluke that has happened. So, basically, there was a set of analysts who were saying that, okay, the opposition numbers happened, that's a fluke that has happened. On the other hand, there was people who were saying, no, the BJP numbers were a fluke. They should have been ideally below 200 or something like that.
Yeah.
So we wanted to understand that, well, is there something like a fluke, or is there something like a concrete evidence of whatever the results came in the way they are standing? Because the truth stood somewhere between 400 par and 200 bhi par nahi ke beech mein. That's where the truth was. And what we have found with the Mood of the Nation poll is that there was no fluke as such, Barkha, as far as when the results came out, neither this way nor that way, which simply means BJP is troubled in the state where it got troubled during the Lok Sabha elections. UP is troublesome for them. Simply because the Congress and Akhilesh alliance is troubling them, as Dalit voters are shifting from Mayawati now because of the Congress towards the Akhilesh alliance.
Yeah.
So BJP has a problem at hand, and the infighting is only increasing and not making their life easy. BJP had a problem in Maharashtra. They are staring at a problem. BJP had a problem in Haryana. They are staring at the problem. So it was no fluke that BJP got truncated numbers. It's as simple as that. Also, on the other hand, those who are saying BJP to 200 ke niche ho jati, no, it's not happened that way either. Whatever the BJP had a stronghold, they are managing and maintaining those strongholds by a significantly large margin of votes in those states. And as we have seen during the Lok Sabha election, those trends are also continuing. So this is to reconfirm the MOTN's first major finding is that the June 4th verdict 2024 was no fluke either of the side.
So we have the first set of graphics and numbers that we're looking at today. If elections were held today, what would the seats breakup look like? And as you said, the 2024 verdict was no fluke for either side. And for either side arguing otherwise, it would be a mistake. The trend more or less holds. Now, in the MOTN India Today See Voter Survey, the BJP, if elections were held today, you argue, would or project, would get a 244 seats, the Congress 106, and the others would get 193. If we move on and look at this in terms of the NDA, let me just wait for that. The NDA would then get 299 to the India bloc's 233. Now, I want you to explain this in terms of the BJP and the Congress breakup. If you were to just flip back to it, it's pretty much ikka dukka farak. I mean, slender gain for the Congress and very slender gain for the BJP. But in terms of the two alliances, the gap seems to be somewhat, I mean, it creates the impression of an inchingly closing gap, not as wide as people might have imagined. When you look at these numbers, and we'll come to the vote percentages in a moment, how do you explain these seats? Are you pretty much saying that despite all the media headlines that Modi seems weaker, he's not able to, he's having to roll back some decisions? Even today, if elections were held, the trend of 2024 would hold.
Well, for that, one has to understand if you look into the state-wise trends of 2024, there were states, Barkha, like UP, like Maharashtra, where the gap between the leading party and the number two party was only 2%, 3% like that. In that's important to understand. So there were a big number, significantly large number of marginal seats at play in big number of these states. But otherwise, beyond that, a significantly large chunk of the states where the results were either this way or that way, and with a very significant gap of the vote shares. So states with the BJP actually they led with the margin of 10, 15, 20, even 30% votes. States where the opposition they led with a margin of 10, 20, 30% votes. So obviously, the states where either of these two alliances were leading and leading by a huge margin, nothing much is
Hmm.
gonna change. I mean, and the ikka dukka which everybody says are those marginal seats which where come at play, and there is only a ikka dukka kind of variation only there. But when you look into the vote share, Barkha, that is
Yeah.
where I think the real story is folding up. A lot of changes are happening. Congress
We
is
have
getting
those
a center
numbers.
stage.
Yeah, we have those numbers on our screen. First, in terms of the alliances, you have the NDA 44% to 40% for the India alliance. But the Congress by itself, if we can bring up the next slide, the Congress by itself is showing a significant gain there.
Yeah.
Look at those numbers. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's a significant gain. In fact, if you compare it with the January MOTN, it's almost like a 6% gain. And if you compare it with the June results, it's almost like a 4% gain over there. And this is a significant
Yeah,
gain. Largely,
yeah,
this gain is coming from others and the alliance partners. I mean, basically anti-BJP vote bank, but which has been going to the alliance partners of the Congress. So that gets when we will be discussing the popularity numbers, the
yeah.
same kind of trend will be emerging over there. So I'm not discussing that before we enter into those graphics kind of thing. But right now, say, even if you focus on the gains that the Congress has been getting in terms of vote share, that they are amazing. Amazing in a way. Uh, Say, for example, I will take the example of Maharashtra, Barkha.
Hmm.
Maharashtra, in the last few years, particularly, say, example, if you pick up the 2014 assembly election, Barkha, when everybody contested on its own all alone. At that point of time, Congress was literally number 4 party in Maharashtra.
Hmm.
Literally, you know. And in the last 2-3 years, particularly after this all Jor Tol ki Rajniti started, when was the last time we discussed Congress in Maharashtra, Barkha?
Hmm.
Everybody in media was discussing Shinde versus Uddhav Thackeray, Ajit Pawar versus Sharad Pawar, Devendra Fadnavis versus this and that. But
Yeah.
Congress was literally nowhere on the scene. And largely so because for all practical matter, it's a faceless party in Maharashtra. There is no big leader. Nana Patole is an import from BJP for that matter. Now,
Correct.
even after that, when we were discussing the Maharashtra trends, we were looking at problems for the BJP NDA in Maharashtra. But honestly, that's one thing which I must say, that we never even thought that, okay, Congress would be the real challenger in Maharashtra, because when you look into Maharashtra different regions, we were so damn over focused on Mumbai, Konkan, Western Maharashtra, North Maharashtra, we literally forgot that the two big chunks of Marathwada
Hmm.
and Vidarbha, where actually it was the fight between Congress and the BJP, we took it for granted, literally, editorially, statistically, in every possible way, that यहाँ पे तो कोई contest ही नहीं होगा. And the
Hmm.
contest happened, and the Congress won. And not only won, it gave the BJP the worst possible defeats in Marathwada and Vidarbha in the last 20 years possible. So that kind of surprised me a lot from the numbers perspective, that okay, here is the party which is the default opposition of the BJP in Marathwada and Vidarbha, without any leader, without any support whatsoever. But when the when it churns, when the anger sets in, when it churns for emotion of change or whatever, whichever way you explain that, then the party stands to gain in a
Yeah.
way that it is the default party to go to in these areas, as and when the wheels churn and people start saying that we want to change. So Congress gained, and gained
Hmm.
significantly, and those gains are now gaining up so much that we are looking at the assembly election where there is a very distinct possibility, Barkha, that BJP might emerge as a single largest party in terms of vote share, because it is a pan Maharashtra party now. But the Congress might emerge as the single largest
Yeah.
party in terms of seat share. You
and
never
and and,
know.
and what and what happens after the assembly elections will also have an impact on national politics. Possibly you'll have to do another survey. In fact, the second part of this program with you on Monday will look at the states individually, but I want to now turn our focus to the popularity ratings. The question you asked is, who is most suited to be prime minister? If that question were in fact asked today, what would it look like? And those numbers are very interesting as they come up, Yashwant. There they are. The prime minister remains the overwhelming choice, but with a 6 point dip since your last survey, which was done in February before the general election verdict. Rahul Gandhi is still well behind, but his popularity is rising. That trend is very,
Yeah.
very clear. It's rising by 9 points since your last survey. He has come into a space that his critics never thought he would come into. He is now leader of the opposition, a 9 point gain. How do you look at this? These two numbers we see on our screen.
Well, the way I look at it, I read the data, Barkha, it seems that there are two very, very significant trends on there. Number one, Congress has become the center of the opposition alliance. I mean, Congress is without any doubt, the core, what shall I say, kingpin, or whichever way you look at it, the core of the opposition alliance in India. And Rahul Gandhi has become the core of Congress. So there is no ambiguity anywhere, because on the screen when you see -6 and +9, it looks like as if those six have shifted towards this. It's not that simple. Those six
Yeah.
have shifted largely to don't know, can't say categories, and this +9 is largely coming from the numbers of Arvind Kejriwal and Mamta Banerjee, and their ratings have crashed big time,
So,
which
hang on. You're saying that this shift or this dip in Mr. Modi's numbers and the rise in Rahul does not correspond to Modi voters moving to Rahul. That's
yeah,
not what we should interpret
that's
this
not
data to be.
what is happening. No, that's
Okay.
not what is exactly happening. What is happening is that when 2 years 3 years back, Rahul Gandhi's numbers were really crashing down because he was literally inactive and not hitting the street or not doing anything. At that point of time, all these opposition alternatives, they were like going, and right after, I remember very clearly, right after the Punjab election verdicts, when we did the
Hmm.
MOT in Barkha, you remember Arvind Kejriwal's national numbers were almost at par with Rahul Gandhi, within
Hmm.
striking distance. And from there till now, I guess the biggest turnaround for Rahul Gandhi has been the Bharat Jodo Yatra, which we did the
Hmm.
tracker series on Bharat Jodo Yatra,
That's
and
right.
we were
That's
saying that
right.
it is going up. So I think that did the magic thing. And right now, the stage one of the Congress or Rahul Gandhi revival is complete, which means the stage one where Rahul Gandhi numbers are clearly indicating कि कोई आगे पीछे नहीं है विपक्ष में. That is, he
Hmm.
is the numero uno as far as the opposition voters are concerned. And we also did ask among the opposition voters, among the opposition, for the opposition leaders, which one is the most suited one. And there, Rahul Gandhi's number was 49%.
Yeah,
And rest of the
yeah,
opposition one numbers were roughly about 25%, and remaining don't know, can't say. So,
yeah.
as far as the opposition voters and opposition leadership is concerned, it is very clear Rahul Gandhi has become the pole of that opposition thing, and he's gonna remain there. I don't see him going down, because I guess that he is now excited about the opportunities. He has seen very direct impact of hitting the ground. Going for the Bharat Jodo Yatra, and his numbers and the fortunes of the Congress and the opposition alliance have been swinging. So that way, he is now directly looking at the profit which is coming his way if he remains active in the active politics. In a serious way, people start looking at him as a serious person, much more mature person. And unlike the previous past, where it was very easy for the BJP and its IT cell to ridicule Pappu and Pappuism like that,
Hmm.
it is not happening anymore. When Rahul
Yeah.
Gandhi says something on the floor, outside the floor, people are taking notice of that. So if the BJP thinks, "Arey, hum Pappu bol ke hum dobara kaam chala lenge and we can manage this," they are in for a rude shock. Because the way I look at, when things start polarizing or going in one direction, I see further polarization of the non-BJP voters for Rahul Gandhi in the future, because he is
Hmm.
aggressive and he is going to make that happen. But yeah, I mean, this much so far is so good, because that must be music to everybody who has good opinion about Rahul Gandhi and is following him. But that
Yeah.
should also not make him super excited yet, because as I mentioned, this swing is not coming from Narendra Modi to Rahul Gandhi yet. And the
Hmm.
same is true about the vote share of the BJP and the Congress. You know, so for all practical matters, Congress is regaining, resurging. Rahul Gandhi is resurging and making their position of the numero uno opposition party of India. That part is good, but still there is a long way home for
Yeah.
them to start capturing the middle of the ground BJP voters swinging towards the Congress, or middle of the ground Modi supporters and swing them to Rahul Gandhi. That hissa, that part is an important part, is a difficult part, and that is where the Congress and Rahul Gandhi have to focus now.
How concerned, before we move on to the next set of numbers, how concerned should the Prime Minister be about that 6 point drop since February? And the reason I ask is because 49% is a pretty high popularity rating in the third term of an incumbent Prime Minister. But there is a new reality, there is a new polity, and that is not just the fact that there is an aggressive new opposition, it is legislative breaks on the Modi government's work, right? In Parliament is where I think now the real hurdles are.
Yeah,
Uh, Something small like 45 vacancies for a UPSC lateral entry. I'm not right now getting into whether that's good or bad. I'm just
yeah,
saying what the government would have considered a
yeah.
very routine thing, which they did last year. Modi had to take that
They
back. That
never
directive
asked.
was
Yeah.
taken back. Yeah. So my question to you is, how concerned, because like people are asking, okay, will this government last the full term? Will Chandrababu and Nitish allow it to last the full term? There are also internal rumblings, and we'll come to that in particular in Uttar Pradesh. How concerned should the Prime Minister be about that 6 point dip, given that right now, if you look at that slide, the gap between Modi and Rahul is big, but Rahul's on the rise and Modi's on the descent?
I think they should be concerned, not hyper concerned, but yes, concerned, because as you just mentioned, 5 rollbacks in 3 months. How many rollbacks in the last 10 years we have seen? I guess that BJP has been more troubled in the parliament in the last 3 months than in totality in the last 10 years altogether. So
Hmm.
obviously there are signs, there are problems, and they have to go about it more so, because there are big number of questions, Barkha, which are non-political of sorts in that way, but we do ask in the India Today MOTN,
Yeah.
and somehow the findings of those questions on emotive issues are, some of them are should be concerning to the BJP, and some of them to the Congress or the opposition at large. For
Yeah.
example, there is a huge support for MSP to the farmers. Now this is an emotive issue. Huge support for changes and continuing, then only continuing the Agniveer Yojana. So
Yeah.
positive, but yet with a lot of checks in. So be it a question of armed forces, be it a question of farmers and agrarian crisis. An average Indian herd, Barkha, is not without a reason. Shastri ji gave the nara of Jai Jawan Jai Kisan, because he knew that an average Indian herd is very closely and emotively attached with these two causes. These
Mhm.
two things, army and the farming thing, is a non-negotiable thing. So people do not know the fiscal implication of the MSP. They are not bothered when a lot of debates happened there, that do you even understand the fiscal implication? For them, they don't even know what MSP real is, the real crisis
Yeah.
or real issue is. For them, it is more of a thing. किसान परेशान है, and किसान को परेशान नहीं होना चाहिए. Government should do. If they are asking for MSP, government should go ahead and give it to MSP. You know, one rank one pension वाली के ऊपर बात हो, या whatever. I mean, even for that matter, Agniveer. Yes, people want some changes in the Agniveer. There are genuine concerns. Why isn't government listening to them? So
Yeah.
it's a question. It's a battle of head and the heart in that way, Barkha. At the same time, when the same people we ask about the issues which are like common civil code, overwhelming majority say yes, we should have a common civil code, and there is
Mhm.
no Hindu-Muslim angle to it. No matter what
Mhm.
the it is projected, or for in support or opposing, it is made a Hindu-Muslim thing. But a huge, overwhelming majority of the India, it is not a Hindu-Muslim thing. So they are
Yeah.
okay with one nation, one election. They are okay with the common civil code. So what I am looking at is certain decisions which government has been putting in the back burner. Caste census,
Yeah.
there is an overwhelming support for that. कि क्या दिक्कत है, पूछो ना, क्या गलत है इसमें, पूछना चाहिए. Now
Hmm.
that person, that average person who is being interviewed by our researchers, they are not political minds, they are not economic expert, they see things in a very open hearted, justified way. And
Yeah.
these are the things which should trouble the BJP, because things which the common man on the street saying yes, MSP yes, caste census yes. Now these are the things which are troublesome for the BJP. Whether they
and
will
and
bite
and
the
to
bullet.
and to some degree, Ashwant, even the fact that the prime minister let it be known that it was his intervention that caused the UPSC lateral entry rollback is linked to caste, because Rahul Gandhi and his own
Absolutely,
ally Chirag Paswan made a huge noise that this is anti-reservation, and the BJP, after the shifting of the Dalit vote in 2024, cannot afford to be
no,
perceived as an
absolutely.
anti-Dalit party.
Absolutely, and it took a hard lesson to the BJP to understand that the it may or may not be a false campaign. I am not going the quality of the campaign. Opposition got a chance. They scored on that campaign. कि संविधान खतरे में है. But the thing
Hmm.
is, the understanding that Samvidhan is a question of identity for Dalits. Reservation is a question of my identity. I cannot let it go. It's about the identity crisis. And if you put up a question mark, कितने लोगों को रिजर्वेशन के कारण नौकरी मिलती है, बरका नौकरी है कहाँ जो मिलेगी सरकारी.
Correct.
It's not a question of that. Even if you put up a 80% reservation in this country, कितनी सरकारी नौकरी है, कितने लोगों को मिल जाएगी. Question is about doing the right thing. Question is about me feeling justified with the anger of even hearing कि संविधान खतरे में है. That if this
That's
happens,
right.
my identity crisis is going to be there. So it took a hard lesson to BJP to learn that okay, everything and every time they say something, it's not just that उन्होंने बोल दिया और लोगों ने ले लिया. Some things go deeper than what they think might hit, and it has hit them bad. So they cannot. Prime Minister is the kind of mature politician that he is. He learns very fast. He's not going to allow even a lateral entry thing to be snowballed into another Samvidhan Khatre mein kind of thing. That's why the rollback.
Yeah.
So he,
Yeah.
I
Very.
he
Go
has
ahead.
taken those lessons, but what exactly he's gonna do after that, I don't know yet. I mean, I have no idea how he's going to see this. Okay, ki 49 aa gaya, I am ahead. But he is a kind of a perfectionist that everybody tells that we have seen as media
Yeah.
person that he would like to keep his numbers high. He would not take this, very comfortably.
I think, in fact, the challenge for him, please correct me if you disagree or think I'm wrong, is to find a new story to tell in his third term, right? A lot of the stories feel like people have heard them before. Now, that takes us to the next very interesting question that your survey actually asks. Who after Modi in the BJP? Now, there would have been a time when it would have been unimaginable to actually ask this question. But the Prime Minister is going to turn 75 in the middle of his third term. And while Amit Shah has said on record that there's no question of him retiring, well, we don't know. Many things can happen in politics. And people have started asking, ki, bhai, मोदी जी के बाद कौन है बीजेपी में? Now,
Yeah,
these
right.
numbers are very interesting because while Amit Shah is always been considered the Chanakya, the Machiavellian backroom manager doing the number crunching, he's never actually been seen as the sort of political inheritor in terms of a public face. But your numbers, your respondents see him as the first choice, in a sense, to be the next man to lead the BJP. Talk about these numbers.
Well, I think, Barkha, the BJP has a mix of two different kind of vote bank. One is the core Hindutva vote bank, and one is the non-Hindutva vote bank. Which the chunk which got attracted to the BJP as an alternative to the Congress, and a progressive center of the middle of the line voter, as you may say. So, Yogi Adityanath being seen as the next big thing in the BJP, his support base is coming from that core Hindutva view supporters. But Nitin Gadkari, Amit Shah, Rajnath Singh, that set of name is coming from the BJP, which is more non-Hindutva kind of thing, but center of the line and other issues and other derivatives which are important for them. So that's how it looks like at this point of time. But one important thing, Barkha, compared to previous MOTNs, the number
Yeah.
of Amit Shah and Yogi both are down. And that has largely to do with the outcome of the UP numbers. An average BJP supporter says कि मुंह का स्वाद खराब हो गया, because that would be a very objective assessment for them, because 35 seats drop in UP is what made the difference between BJP getting its majority and NDA getting 350.
Absolutely.
The problem that Prime Minister is facing right now, if there is only one state that is responsible for that mess from his end, if you are the Prime Minister Modi and you look at your scenario, every time you have to roll back, the only thing which will hit you, Barkha, ये यूपी का गड़बड़ नहीं हुआ था तो मुझे ये नहीं करना पड़ता. All right.
Yeah, that's very interesting because of your next finding. Who is the most popular chief minister in India, right? Now, from the beginning till now, and let's bring up the next slide, we've been talking about Uttar Pradesh being, in a sense, the problem child for the BJP. All of the knocks that the BJP has taken have been related to the outcome in Uttar Pradesh, right? And Yogi Adityanath still polls. Now, it's also important to say, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, that these numbers where Yogi Adityanath is still the most popular chief minister is not within UP, it's across 30 states. Am I correct? That these are respondents across.
So there are two sets of, So we asked two questions, Barkha, as you know it, one we ask across India, who according to them is the most popular. And then the second question we ask, how do you rate your own chief minister? And that part, being on the real governance and everything, we'll make two different lists. So one list is overall like that, and one list from the actual performance of the chief minister. So Yogi Adityanath scores across India simply because BJP has a strong base across UP as well. UP is the most populous state. So in an all India sample, obviously UP samples have a larger stake, but also the fact that among the BJP chief ministers, an average BJP supporter actually pops up his name. So that is how his numbers go as a number one. But when you look into the actual performance,
he's 12 points down according to your survey. He's 12 points down from February.
Yeah, he's 12 points down. Yeah, he's 12 points down from the February. And that's a very significant drop, simply because a lot of people are looking at it that he could not win Uttar Pradesh. I mean, Uttar Pradesh failure is not just directed at Prime Minister alone. It's like when you were getting all the flowers of winning UP again, somewhere the buck is going to stop.
Yeah,
There were talks of murmurs of backstabbing, in-house
yeah.
fighting, all said and done. But largely speaking, people look at it that UP was lost, and because of UP lost, largely the BJP could not manage the majority
So, so,
and
so, so, so,
everything.
the, so this next slide, which is his ratings in UP, is much more telling, right? So there is Yogi Adityanath as a figure nationally, where he towers over the other chief ministers. But if you look at these numbers, it's actually moved from 43% to 33%. Am I saying
Exactly,
this
and
right?
that's concerning
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that makes him at number 9, because there are
Yes.
8 more chief ministers in India who are rated better by their population in their governance
Ye-
and their sense. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so these numbers are like that. Mr. Yogi, if he plays to only see the brownie points, he would like to go ahead and go, okay, I am the most popular chief minister. But if he is serious to understand that there are dents, there are problems, and he has to do something about that, because at the end of the day, his numbers all India came from the understanding that UP sends 80 MPs to the parliament, and BJP on 2 occasions got the complete majority, courtesy Uttar Pradesh, courtesy Uttar
Yeah.
Pradesh. So Uttar Pradesh role in BJP getting majority and Yogi's role in getting BJP a majority in Uttar Pradesh is all interconnected, and that is
What?
why it is very critical for him to understand that infighting or not, problem or not, people are not bothered. People are bothered. Their supporters are bothered. कि नंबर कम हो गए, majority चली गई, and for that,
G.
UP is to be blamed.
Yeah, that is very interesting. But as we wind down towards the end, Yashwant, you said that he's less popular right now in terms of relative terms than other chief ministers whose popularity has been on the upswing. For many people, the surprise in the findings is Mamta Banerjee. The only reason that we're calling it a surprise is because of the rage that we have
Obviously.
seen in Kolkata after the horrific rape and murder of a young doctor. Now,
So
of
just
course,
one
the
small explanation, Barkha, because our field
yes,
work happened
please.
before the unfortunate incident of Kolkata. I am absolutely sure if we run this per survey again, Mamta's number would be taking a hit. We are actually, by the way, running another poll now on the unfortunate incident, not just the nationwide
Yeah.
on women's security, but also in West Bengal. I will share those numbers with you. But this MOTN fieldwork happened before the Kolkata incident happened. That is why her numbers are still up there. And honestly speaking, before this happened, she was pretty much popular. She swept the recent Lok Sabha elections. She defeated BJP left, right, and center in West Bengal. I mean,
Yeah,
but yes, these
but it's
numbers are to be
but it's
redone.
but it's important to consider for a moment the Trinamool Congress, in some ways, after being absolutely silent, borderline callous, now being aggressive. Is it their calculation that this issue that has the country up in arms in the West Bengal context might be an urban issue and not a rural issue? Is that where they might be? Not that, I mean, I'm horrified that they will put it politically calculate the rape and murder of a young woman, but unfortunately it feels to me like maybe that's how they're thinking. I don't know, because many
I
of them
think
have
the
been quoting these numbers.
political elite
Yeah,
of India is still unable to capture this phenomena that there is no urban-rural divide on certain issues. When
absolutely.
I say when our poll finds out 87% of people are supporting the farmers on MSP, do we have 87% farmers in this country? That support is coming from the urban areas.
Yeah,
Similarly, on a question like a gruesome rape and murder case, do they feel it is an urban phenomena and females in the countryside or males even in the rural area, they are not going to, fathers in the rural areas are not going to react to that? I mean,
yeah,
they would like to say that, but I mean, I'm sorry, somebody needs to tell them, wake up, smell the coffee. It's not
absolutely.
happening like that, because whatever has happened has shook the core, just like when Nirbhaya happened to that average Indian, an average father who has a daughter, who has a wife, who has sister. You know, it's hitting them, and the last
Yeah,
thing that they need is an arrogant face of governance representing and telling them everything is fine. You guys are, I don't know
yeah.
why, making a big issue out of this case. That's the last
thank you
thing
for
that they
saying
want.
that. Yeah, and I really look forward to your survey on women. I know you have said so many times, why isn't there a special session of Parliament called
Absolutely. Yeah.
to talk about the security and the rights of women? Just before we go, if there was one big message that comes, and yes, on Monday evening we'll be looking at the states, we'll be doing individual breakups of the states. Today was the national picture. So before we go, if there's one big political message nationally that emerges from your survey, what would it be?
I think that one-sided politics thing for the 10 years that we have been witnessing is gone. We are into a situation where people are realigning themselves very clearly,
Yeah.
and majority of the people of India are progressive, and they want people to work together in the right direction. So
Yes.
this MOTN very clearly says the pointers for the BJP to work on, pointers for the opposition to work on, both of them. But my fear is, Barkha, politicians being politicians, they will
Hmm.
only look at the glass half full from their side and glass half empty from the opposition side. Both ways, both the
Absolutely.
camps. That's the problem. People of this country are very clear what they want. Unfortunately, politicians think they know better than the people of this country what they want. And that is where I think the gap is.
That is so well said, Yashwant. It's great to have you back after a break. We're looking forward to our show on Monday, where we look at the individual states which are going to the polls and also some other findings from some of the other states. Thank you, Yashwant.
Thank
You're
you
a
so much.
man much in demand, so we're going to let you go now. Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
and see
much.
you on Monday. See you on
See you.
Monday,
See you.
Yashwant. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye. Take
bye,
care.
bye, bye.
Bye.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.